Hello and welcome to the Underground Network, broadcasting live from Los Angeles on a daily basis. I am happy to see that every day more and more people are sort of getting to know this program, this daily program. Random people, in terms of random people, I don't know how they get to this program, but the beauty of it is that they're not people I know or my friends, but somehow the word is getting out there. So yesterday I received a message from the UK and a message from Ohio, and so it was kind of interesting to read those messages coming from people who are not Greek but who are interested in what's going on right now in Greece, and sort of appreciate an alternative voice, which is my voice, and which is actually just a citizen's voice. And this is what Underground Network is about. It's about basically, it's just a platform, and I'm using it in a certain way, but in the near future, people will be able to use it in whichever way they want, just to get their voice out there. So again, this is Underground Network, and I am just one voice. I am just a person, but this is a way for me to express myself and to sort of make myself heard, not only to the people, and to make myself heard among other fellow citizens in the world, fellow Greek citizens, or wherever, whoever is interested in what I have to say. But it's also a way to be heard at a political level, and by all of us, or more of us, every day expressing ourselves. We might be able to take to realize the power that we have, and to put pressure on our governments, to be able to hopefully one day have the ability to get the power back to us, because the power needs to be in people's hands, not in some representatives who usually do not represent us. And we're seeing this in many in most political representative democracies around the world. We realize that usually the parties that are in parliament, in government, are not exactly representative of the people. And this is, for example, in Greece, you have this law when if you get the majority of seats, then you get a 50-seat bonus. So that creates basically a system that is not fair, because why would you get a 50 bonus seats? It's not normal. Same thing in the UK. Even though, if you look at the numbers, the two parties getting the seats there's a system there which quite complicated, but I guess it's the remains of the older system, which was allowing different parts of the counties to buy a seat in parliament. So now what you saw is that even though the third party is the what they call, it's usually called extreme right or far right party, UKIP, xenophobic, anti-immigration, and all those things. What I know about UKIP, of course, it has some narrative that are completely really weird and wicked, but it is an anti-EU party, and it's a sovereignist type of party. So that what's interesting is it still got it's the third party in terms of number of votes in the UK, yet it only got one seat, and this is due to the system of representation in the United Kingdom. But the bottom line is not whether UKIP or not got into parliament, and I have no opinion about it, and I don't care about it that much. But what's interesting is you see how basically the system doesn't really function, because if what I think it's called simple proportionality if really the proportion of the votes would be reflecting, rather, if the seats were really reflecting the percentage of the number of votes, then we would have a fair representative system. But in most countries, like I said, in Greece, and like I just realized in the UK, but I also know this is the case of France, it looks like really us, the people, we're not represented fairly. So hopefully Underground Network as a platform will be able to play a role in that, and to be able to help that in the near future. Hi William, hello. You're catching up with this week of videos. That's great, thank you. Just wanted to say hi to my friend who just interacted. And get to now what I wanted to say. Again, I'm sorry, today is about Greece. Yesterday I spoke about Germany. It looks like very few people watched the video, so people don't really care about Germany. And when I say people, I'm talking about the people that are among my regular audience, and I know where they're coming from. They're usually, most of the people watching my programs are Greek. So it looks like Greeks don't really care about Germany, because yesterday I was posting how Germany basically is, the euro is a dead end, because even for Germany to survive within the euro, it needs to basically suck the blood out of every other country. But anyway, it looks like Greeks don't care about Germany. They right now are focusing on more about Varoufakis. Whenever I have a program about Varoufakis, it's usually a big hit comparatively, for my programs. So, but I only talk about Varoufakis whenever I have to say something about him, and I mean, he talks a lot, he gives a lot of interviews, so I do talk a lot about him, but I don't have any sort of preference or fixation on Varoufakis. It's actually really annoying to have to sit down and listen to what he says, as whatever he says is being contradicted by him either in the same interview or the next day, and so it's schizophrenic. So anyway, another day without Varoufakis for me today, but it's another day that I will be speaking about Germany, not Germany as a country, not German, this is again not directed to the German people, of course, but I'm going to talk about German policies and strategies in relation to Greece. And there's a series of articles that I will be referring to, and they mostly come from the Greek press, and they are old. Some of them are really old articles. They go back as far as 2012, and so I had to pull them out of my archive. But yes, I will talk about Germany in Greece. What does that mean exactly? Again, it's it's not about the German people. It's about politics and the way Germany makes sure to be represented, to have basically a presence in Greece politically. And I'll explain how this has been done for the past, especially for the past 3 years, ever since 2012, really intensely and intensively. So not that countries, wouldn't have any sort of collaborations or cultural collaborations or diplomatic, but this is somehow kind of out of the ordinary if one really takes a close look at it. So, German people are our friends. The people are our friends, like any other people in the world. But German politicians, I'm not sure if they are our friends. So, and it's on this that I want to focus today, because what we've seen in Greece, it all started in March 2010. In March 2010, way before, a couple months before even the first memorandum was signed. As we know, the memorandum of understanding between Greece and its creditors was signed in May 2010. So 2 months earlier, beginning of March 2010, there was something that was signed by the then Prime Minister George Papandreou in Germany, called the Greek-German partnership, or the Greek-German collaboration. It's basically a business sort of, it's a collaboration, it's a partnership in terms of business, and a series of sort of steps were taken. So this has no sort of legal there's no legal framework around it. It looks like it's just not unofficial, it's pretty official, since it was signed between George Papandreou, Prime Minister of Greece at the time, and Angela Merkel, yet it looks like it has no legal weight. But this Greek German partnership is what led to a series of things that happened in Greece in the years that followed, and that are still happening today. Now, why a Greece-German partnership was ever signed even before the memorandum, I think it's obvious to anyone who would have some common sense, and that's because obviously with the things that were to follow, and the German government was very well aware of what was to follow. It saw a big opportunity, a business opportunity, actually a series of opportunities in Greece to capitulate on the crisis. So the German-Greek partnership, or Greek-German partnership, was signed in March 2010, and is a very, very significant aspect of this whole, a significant aspect of the role of Germany in Greek politics, and also in what is going on even today. It's not harmless, basically. That's the idea. So there was a guy who was appointed the head of this Greek-German partnership. He was put in place by Angela Merkel, and his name is Joachim Fuchtel. He's very known to most Greeks by now, and he's not very much liked. Because when somebody who officially works for the German government is appointed by the German Chancellor herself, and basically goes in and out of Greek ministries for years, as if the ministries were his own home, or rooms of his own house. Like I read in one of the articles, this very well describes the type of attitude Mr. Fuchtel has been having while basically residing in Greece, because I think for many years, at least up until this new government, the Syriza Anel government, coalition government, came to power, but up until then, for 3 years, Joachim Fuchtel, the head of the Greek-German partnership, was really very much at home in the Greek ministries. So basically, his official title is some sort of deputy minister in charge of Greece. He has an official title in Germany, deputy minister in charge of Greece. There's also another one, more complicated, deputy minister, head of German-Greek parliamentary collaboration. So this is quite political, to have basically a German representative, government representative in Greece. He was there. He's been okay, I'll tell you where he is right now. Right now he's back in Germany because he doesn't like the new government. He doesn't like Tsipras, but he was in Greece almost permanently for about 3 years. And he was not only coming in and out of the Greek ministries, he was also very close friends. He's still very close friends, and he has those very close ties with some local governors or mayors or heads of municipalities, and this is not something that's unknown. You know, there's pictures of him, of Mr. Fuchtel, and for example, the mayor of Thessaloniki. You know, so he's very well connected on a local government level. So, and that's very important to keep for what's coming later. So anyway, after 2012, which basically is sort of a turning point in terms of the implementation of this Greek-German partnership. After 2012, and this coincides with the switch of government in Greece. Actually, not exactly a switch. This is when the government George Papandreou, fell, and a technocrat was basically imposed on Greece. Was imposed as a prime minister of Greece, Mr. Papadimos. So around that time is where basically there's a turning point in the Greek-German partnership. What happened then? The German parliament voted an increase of its budget of a series of institutions and organizations that are linked to German political parties. So the German parliament basically upped the budget, increased the budget of those organizations, and I have the specific numbers, but who cares? At the same time, around that time, beginning of 2012, we're seeing in Greece, back in Greece, because some of them had been there earlier, and some of them probably never left. You know, Greece and Germany always had cultural ties, and which were extremely important, and those are definitely ties that countries should always keep and cherish. You know, but this is somehow different. All of a sudden, in 2012, we're seeing the organizations like Konrad Adenauer, which is related to the Christian Democratic Party of Germany. We see the SPD, the Friedrich Ebert organization or institution, which is related to the SPD, the social, I think it's the Social Democratic Party of Germany. So you have Konrad Adenauer, you have Friedrich Ebert, and then you have another organization, Friedrich Naumann, which is related to the Liberal Party of Germany. And then you have Hans Seidel, which is the the institution, you can call it institution, organization, that is related to the party of a Christian Democratic Party of Bavaria. You also have the Heinrich Bell, which is the Green Party. It's related to the Green Party. All these are organizations who have ties with German political parties, right? And then last but not least, actually two more. There is even leftist organizations like the Die Linke, which is the leftist party of Germany that had a representation in Greece through the organization called Rosa Luxemburg. So you have Konrad Adenauer, Friedrich Ebert, Friedrich Naumann, Hans Seidel, Heinrich Bell, and Rosa Luxemburg. I try to do my German accent. So you have 6 organizations or institutions in Greece. They open offices or enforce their presence, because some of them, as I said, I think never left. I think I think some of those were already in Greece and had never left. Some of them were there. I think the Konrad Adenauer was already there, but sort of, reinforced their presence. So all these organizations, German organizations, make a strong reappearance in Greece and sort of enhanced their power in a way. Now, if you look at articles at the time, articles that are dated 2012, which I pulled out, you read, you have, for example, the representative of the Konrad Adenauer organization in Greece, who's saying, we're not doing politics here. We're trying to, in these difficult times between Greece and Germany, when there's a lot of pointing the finger at each other, where Germans call the Greeks lazy, and when Greeks call the Germans, Nazi. It's very important that we're here and we sort of enhance cultural ties, blah, blah, blah. So all this sounds very nice, yet if you look closely, what she and other representatives, other heads of those organizations are saying, heads of those German organizations are saying, is if you listen to what it is, it's not exactly that. So officially, even though they pretend and they claim not to have any sort of political role, their presence in Greece is not politically involved, or sort of they don't represent any political interest, which is kind of funny, because I stated that each and every one of these organizations are directly linked to a German party in parliament. So, but anyway, they still claim that, their role is not political. They go on, the representatives of these organizations, they all go on in saying that our collaboration, like we look forward into collaborating with Greece in terms of, European collaboration with centers, like create sort of centers of decisions on a European level, and promote different reforms that could be economic and even institutional and even political. These are words of representatives of these organizations, quoted here and there. So even though they're claiming that they're rather, cultural, educational, and how to create ties, they still go on say that, we want to sort of help Greece, give it a know-how, give create closer ties by giving a know-how, educating people, and also creating sort of an understanding of why at a European level we should have reforms, economic reforms, and all those things. So this is highly political to me. It's basically stating the obvious. They're really in Greece and have a political role. They play a major political role, and they have played for 3 years. And if you want to dig more into it, you will find a series of fields where they sort of are very active. So one of them is cultural. Of course, cultural is great. Everything cultural, I don't have any issue with. On the contrary, quite the contrary. Some of you may know that I've lived in many countries, and I speak most of the languages of the countries that I lived in. So I am all for cultural. This is the bottom. This is the basis of any sort of collaboration between people, and peace and understanding and open-mindedness and democracy, really. But this goes far beyond that. So these organizations, it looks like they want to educate Greek people as if Greek people were not educated. We know that we have the highest, after Germany, but the highest percentage of people with university degrees, even graduate and postgraduate. So we are an extremely educated country, with the newest generation being highly educated. So our parents have invested a lifetime of savings, savings of a lifetime for us to study and to become highly educated, so highly capable of doing things ourselves. But anyway, these organizations claim that they can sort of give their know-how to young Greeks. Okay, fine, up to then. But then what they also officially claim, those organizations, that they sort of, where is that? I had it somewhere. So another type of training they offered, those organizations offered, was in sort of new businesses with specific specialties, like those in tourism jobs. But it's more for German needs, and they actually state that they want to give a know-how according to German professional standards and with reference to German needs. So these organizations do serve the needs and the interests of Germany, whether directly or indirectly, because yes, of course, we don't have the perfect standards in Greece, but it's clearly, if you start, propagating your own needs, and you start absorbing a youth, and you're trying to educate them to fulfill your needs, what is this called? This is not really called mutual collaboration or cultural exchange. This is something else. So because the areas where those organizations are very active is the area of agriculture, transport, logistics, automotive engineers, and engineers in general. Meanwhile, we know that a huge number of engineers, of doctors, of high-skilled, highly educated people are exporting themselves to Germany, and they work there for, of course, a lower salary. So basically, they also create, there's a huge wave of immigration of Greeks now going to Germany. So I don't think we should really believe in this cultural or know-how sort of educational exchange with those organizations, as those organizations are, for me, highly suspicious in terms of the interests that they're serving. And some of the heads of those organizations have Greek last names. But the tricky field of those organizations, the trickiest, the most interesting, the most suspicious, is the field of journalism and new media. It looks like at times, I have here dates and specific programs. They have undertaken seminars where they invited Greek journalists to either attend journalistic seminars or media seminars, and some of those classes did even take place in Germany. So some of the journalists that attended those seminars by those organizations were even published. So you have journalists in the past, and that's like between 2012 and 2015. You had big new journalists, names that people would know about, working for major media outlets, Greek media outlets, attend those organizations' journalist seminars. So one wonders, like, why would any Greek journalist, why would they attend seminars regarding journalism, either through these organizations, or why would they travel to Germany to sort of attend those types of classes, or it's highly suspicious. But maybe that's why we have a reflection of this in the press. So that kind of explains the type of news we're getting in Greece, and so I think it's a good way of looking at it. So that's one of the aspects of those organizations. I think under the appearance of cultural exchange, know-how, professional, different professions, educational programs and whatnot, and journalism, I think under that lies the whole idea that our interests, German interests, clearly political interests, are sort of being heard and being conveyed through those people that we train, through those people that we either probably even pay money to, so that we can sort of have our interests or our opinion or our views propagated. Anyway, this is a very nice way of putting it, by the way, because one could call it what it is. And what it is a sneaky way of basically intruding inside a country and creating this whole institutional framework where you can work from the inside and serve your interests. So yes, so my friends are sort of like they're sort of encouraging me with their messages to keep on saying what I'm saying. I'm just, this is not me. This is referenced by, this is a reference to at least 4 articles that I have right in front of me. So I'm not inventing anything. This is all based on what I've been reading and on notes. So anyway, that's the idea. But now to get back to Mr. Fuchtel, who was appointed by Mrs. Merkel as head of this Greek-German partnership. Where is he right now? And this is the latest article, one of the latest articles that I've read. Apparently, Mr. Fuchtel is very unhappy, as I said, with this new government. So he refuses to go to come to Greece, to go to Greece. I'm not in Greece, so to go to Greece. He refuses to go to Greece. Instead, he's sending the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs. I think it's Mr. Roth. So he is sending him because he can't stand the new government. But what Mr. Fuchtel has done is that he's been very active on a local government level. So very, very close ties with local government. And it's been proven that, unlike what they've been propagating in the international media, the Greek local governments were the ones in Europe to have the lowest debt to GDP in terms of the country. So, for example, let me tell you some numbers. They were here somewhere. For example, Greece has 8.4%, and this is back in 20. These are the numbers of, I think, 2012 or 2011. France had 8.4% debt to GDP for local governments. France had 8.4. Holland, the Netherlands had 8.6% of GDP. Denmark said 7.3. That's local government debt. Sweden 7%. Blah blah blah. You can go on. Greece had 0.9% of GDP for local debt. So the local governments had really, really low debt. So they had quite good cash, actually. And maybe that explains why the government, the Syriza coalition, now just grabbed this cash with a decree. It forced basically the local governments to hand over the cash to the central government in order to pay the creditors, namely the IMF. So that explains it. So Mr. Fuchtel was very well aware that the local governments in Greece actually had some money, and they had very sound finances, unlike what's being said. The only country having a lower debt, local government debt, was Malta. So Greece, which had 0.1% of its GDP, was local government debt. But Greece was pretty low too, less than 1%. So Mr. Fuchtel was very well aware of that. So he knew there was a lot of things to capitulate on, and so he one of his main goals was to he persisted from the beginning to integrate a sort of, to create a sort of waste management system. So he wanted Greece to take funds from the EU and for local governments and regions, and develop that waste management system, but this would be taken in charge by German companies. So the management of this money, Greece would take the money from the EU, EU funds, but the companies that would overlook the project would be German companies, and that's where Mr. Fuchtel was, that's where he comes in. He comes in for this sort of partnerships. So one of his closest friends, again, it was the mayor of Thessaloniki. He even hired, apparently, and this is in one of the articles, I have no personal knowledge of this, but apparently one of the partner of the mayor of Thessaloniki, this lady, was also hired as his assistant in the Thessaloniki office, in Fuchtel's office in Thessaloniki. So it's this whole deal. It's basically there's a lot of thing to gain from local governments, and Fuchtel was focusing on that. There are other programs in terms of, green energy and transports and all those things. So I guess he was overlooked, but the waste management was was one of the major focus of Fuchtel, and that's why he also apparently was promoting other ideas like, free economic zones in certain parts of Greece, and anywhere where he could see a German-Greek partnership. Of course, that's not really a partnership, is it? It's when the German companies would have the management of all those funds that Greece would take on. Where is really the partnership there would be a good question. Okay, so that's basically what I wanted to talk about today. This is another form of being, occupied from the inside out. Of course, as I said, Mr. Fuchtel is no longer coming to Greece because he refuses to. So there's now the other guy, Mr. Roth, coming to Greece. But another extension of this sort of ideology is, what was called a task force, which is known as the Team Reichenbach. It is presided by Horst Reichenbach, who is the head of the task force. Those technical teams, now again located in the Greek ministries, who are implementing policies and are doing all sorts of, are giving directions for Greek policies. And I think those guys are still there. So this is another extension, because even though Horst Reichenbach, I think, is sent by the European Commission, the European Union, he happens to be German. So that's another thing to sort of notice. And of course the extension of all this, you have an upgraded role of the German embassy in Greece. You have a lot of Greek people, and they're very visible on Twitter, reporting very suspicious things. Now everything makes sense, once you've gone back and tied all the dots together, everything makes sense. Why the whole reporting is taking a certain, it has a specific line and not any other line, and it's very clear whose interests are being represented. So gotta keep an eye on this Greek-German partnership. It's still around, it's unofficial, it doesn't have any sort of legal weight. But the question would be, onto you, the Greek people, basically, you know, you might be willing to close your eyes, sort of, you know, just say, hey, come on, chill out, you know, it's no big deal. You know, this is a big deal. Everything is a big deal, actually, nowadays. And those who really do not look into things, all these things are happening very sneakingly. You know, one day you will find yourself, we will all find ourselves in big trouble. I think we're already in big trouble, but, you know, we might not have a country pretty soon if we go on ignoring the obvious, if we go on not calling, I mean, yeah, this has a name. All of what I've described has a name. It's no longer, and this is again German policy, this is German government, this is not German people. But these are tactics that are highly, highly suspicious, and they have poisoned, they have endangered, they have basically annihilated the sovereignty of Greece. So one cannot ignore all these things, and one has to take a close look at what's happening and remind every government, even the current government, of the real situation. The current government, I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching. That was today, again, about Germany. I know most people will not bother to look at the program, but if they don't, they're missing out on a lot of information. Anyway, have a good night, everyone. See you tomorrow at the same time. I'll be here, and I will be speaking Greek tomorrow and Friday. Don't forget to subscribe, Underground Network. It's go to youtube.com/underground network and subscribe. Please subscribe. That's very important. More important than even watching. Thank you for watching today, all of you watching. I can't see how many of you are watching, but I think, did I forget anything? Because that was important. It's very important. Oh, yes, I forgot the word, very important. What Germany, the way it's presented, this Greek-German cooperation aims to be presented as aid for Greece, another aid. Except for money, we have, you know, this type of aid, the know-how, and it's covering thousands of apprenticeships, as if our highly educated youth needs apprenticeships. So anyway, thousands of apprenticeships in Germany, because those apprenticeships in Germany, you know, they're empty. Actually, German is in need for this type of labor coming from Greece, from Spain, from Portugal. So these are empty seats that Germany wants to fill in. And the transfer, and this is sort of, it's being used as a bridge for future transfer of labor from Greece to Germany. So this is what these types of apprenticeships programs are for. So you have, again, I mentioned those: vocational training, new business, specific specialties, tourism jobs, according to German professional standards, of course, with reference to German needs, of course, agriculture, transport, logistics, automotive, engineers, and engineers in general. Okay, that's just a reminder. Bye, William. Bye, Panayoti. That's my nephew, I think. Bye, George. Thank you for your kind message, and I will see you tomorrow Spread the word. Tomorrow is in Greek. People are always watching when it's in Greek. But I'm sticking to the English version because a lot of people are watching afterwards. And some people who don't speak Greek need to know what's really going on in this country. If it's still a country. All right. Okay. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.